Howdy, folks. You like blood, violence, freaks of nature? Well then, come down to Captain Spaulding's Museum of Monsters and Madmen. Here's your look at the brand new NECA Toys House of 1,000 Corpses 20th Anniversary Tailcoat Captain Spaulding. Stop by Captain Spaulding's Museum of Monsters and Madmen. It's fun for the whole family, if you're the Manson family. Celebrate the 20th anniversary of Rob Zombie's movie House of 1,000 Corpses, which featured gas, food, murder, and the most shocking tale of carnage ever seen. This 7-inch scale Captain Spaulding action figure is dressed in red, white, and blue ringmaster attire, and comes with hat, baton, and interchangeable hand. Also comes in commemorative 20th anniversary window box packaging. You folks want fried chicken with your frights? I thought so. Just before we get a closer look at the House of 1,000 Corpses 20th Anniversary Tailcoat Captain Spaulding, I'd like, if I can, first to thank the folks over at NECA that provided this sample we could have a look at. Good news, if you guys are interested to get your hands on this version of Spaulding, he's available right now either in stores or online. The dear captain is going to stand at about 7 inches in height, or he's going to be about 17.5 centimeters tall. Not the first 20th anniversary Captain Spaulding we've looked at on this channel. Oh no. Sliding over the tailcoat version, bringing in the retro cloth release. Both of them, again, are celebrating the 20th anniversary Captain Spaulding's, well, more so the 20th anniversary House of 1,000 Corpses, but specifically Captain Spaulding. One, of course, is all decked out here wearing his retro clothing. The other one is cast all in plastic. Not only that, you can see that they're also wearing completely different attire. Captain Spaulding, more familiar with his clown costume. I do actually like the look of the tailcoat version that he wears when he's first presenting his murder ride. You won't be getting any takeaway bags with this release. What you will get, though, instead is his baton. The baton here is cast in, I'm guessing, probably white plastic, and then they probably would have painted either end in red and blue, matching, of course, the stars and stripes. Now, this does fit in his hand, although it doesn't fit in either one of his hands right now. He does actually include with a secondary hand, and the hand itself, as you can see, does have love. Oh, isn't that nice? No man could really do harm if he's got love tattooed across his fingers. This actually was pretty hard to first remove. Well, actually, you first have to remove the hand because this is the hand that he has when you get him out of the packaging, but it was a very difficult thing to do. I know I'm waving my fingers while I'm saying that. When you're turning this, there's going to be a fair bit of resistance. You really do want to turn it as you're pulling it. And if it helps at all, even though I didn't do it really with this figure, you can always go as well the route of heating this first with a hairdryer, just to kind of soften up the plastic. I think really the culprit in this is probably there was a fair bit of paint on the end of the peg. You can see there's still a fair bit there, but once that's removed, you're just going to pop then the new hand in place. Basically, you're just going to reverse the steps. You're going to just turn this as you're pushing this, and then you got yourself the hand to hold the baton. I think now that I've done this the second time, I've already done it already before. Now that I've done this in this review, it's probably going to be the hand that's just going to stay in the socket, because I just would like to more so display the figure with the baton, and then the baton fits fairly easy. It just rests against his finger and then inside his thumb. It holds okay. I mean, it's a little on the looser side, and you'll also see as well, I just dropped it, Butterfingers. You'll see also as well, as you have this a little further down, it slides right out of his grip and then onto the floor. And I have to go retrieve it. I can see it right here. Oh, I'll have to grab it a little bit later. One thing I won't certainly drop, oh, this black hole keeps continuing to claim all my accessories, is the figure also comes included with this top hat. The top hat I know for certain has been cast in white plastic. It's a fairly, I don't want to say it's the softest of plastic, but you can see there's a little bit of give to it. It does fit over his head, but it fits more with friction. When you put it down, you kind of have to really force it onto his head. And even then, it doesn't really stay on his head to the best of ways. Like if I was to tip this upside down, will it survive? Watch this thing fall on the floor. No, it survives the blizzard test. The only one concern I really have with this is putting this on top of his head. That face has been painted so well that I would worry it would start to rub off some of the paint on the top of his forehead. Now, you could choose, really. You could leave this off altogether if you prefer. I think for me, at least, if this is the look that he's going with in the movie, this is the look I'm going to go with when putting this guy on the shelf. So I'm only going to probably do this once or twice, and I'm probably never going to remove the hat again. I'm obviously going to remove it right now. Just before I do that, though, I want to show you guys, like, it's painted pretty well. There are a few little errors where you can see, like, the red's bled onto the white, but for the most part, it's a nice-looking hat. It's a nice-looking hat. The hat doesn't quite match the colors, though, that they've used for the blue, and you can see, like, the red is a little bit more darker here on his jacket, but it's not a bad thing. It's not certainly a deal breaker at all. We're just going to remove the hat. We're going to put it off to the side. Getting a closer look, though, at Spaulding's sculpt, man, that's a good-looking Captain Spaulding. Of course, he only has the face paint on the front. The thing, though, I think that was nice from a touch to detail is that NECA actually put a little, you can see like there's like a little gradient transitioning a color. So it's more of a dirtier white on the front, but it doesn't just abruptly stop right here where there's just a sharp line. You can see like it goes just a little bit progressively into that flesh tone, so it looks like the makeup would have been smeared across his skin. Good looking head sculpt, though, overall. I don't really have any complaints at all with it. You got a little bit, though, of the white added into his beard. A little bit of makeup, of course, that would have been on there as well. If you've got the darker colors around the eyes. It's a little harder to make out those pupils just because there's so much dark around it. But the face is so expertly painted here. I think they've done a nice job on it. For his outfit consists of his hot dog tee that he wears in the movie. And, of course, then he's got himself the tailed jacket over top of that. The jacket is made of a softer plastic. One thing I was kind of worried about was peeling away the jacket and finding some blue stains underneath. You can see so far it hasn't happened at all. Again, it's a pretty soft plastic. They've, of course, put the stripes there on the front, little stars on the sides there as well. He's got the stars and stripes also here on his sleeves. The blue that they used is really good. The red you can clearly see, like, they probably would have painted, I'm guessing, the red over top because it doesn't look like there's much bleed through the white. So I think they probably would have painted over top of the white. That's my guess, at least. Paint overall, for the most part, is pretty good. There are a few little areas here, like the polka dots on his pants, for example. Excuse me. Where you can see like a little bit of the blue kind of bleeding through. I mean, you kind of buy a little bit more into this. Captain Spaulding, I can't imagine, even washes these clothes. For what we get here, I think the polka dots are pretty good. There are a few little areas where the polka dots aren't so much white as they're more lighter blue. Of course, you got the larger clown shoes down below. One thing that's nice to see is at least that they are articulated, because the one thing I was having a problem with getting this guy out of the packaging was he wasn't standing properly. Then I realized he does actually have articulation in his ankles, so it might help just to kind of level him off and get him a better way to stand properly. Speaking of articulation, this guy's going to be a little bit more limited, more so from the waist down. The figure's head, first of all, isn't limited at all. He's got a full range where you can rotate the head all the way around. He moves up, he moves down. Just as a side note, you can also see as well as a little lapel. I think that was a chicken, wasn't a little chicken skull. Head moves up, head moves down. You can also rock it back and forth by quite a lot, actually. The arms rotate also all the way around. You can easily hinge them out. Maybe not necessarily at 90 degrees, a little less than 90. The figure does also have a swivel in his bicep, or swivel I should say in his elbow, which also gives you a hinge there as well. Hands rotate. Even if you want to swap to this hand, it still rotates the exact same way. Yeah, I haven't forgot. The baton is still down there. Here's the only part that's a little more limited on the figure. Instead of having what would normally have been a ball joint on these figures, you only have just a straight swivel. That's it. In order also to execute baggier pants like this, the figure doesn't have any articulation at all. There's nothing in the top of the leg. There certainly isn't anything in the knee. Even if they were to find a way to put in articulation, it would only just cut into this, and it would just look awkward anyways. Like to bend the knee, like just how much of a deep cut that would be on the knee. It just would look a little out of place. Luckily, though, the figure does have foot articulation. You can rock it back and forth, which really does come in aid when it comes to this guy to stand properly. You can also move the feet up and down this way, and I suppose you could really rotate the feet all the way around as well. To help also, the figure does have pegals on the undersides of his feet. I have yet to really need and require a display stand. The figure, once you get his feet nice and flat, the figure stands perfectly fine. Let's get back on his hat. And let's just slide this guy over, bring back in. Now, again, this was the 20th anniversary Captain Spaulding. This guy did not come included with his clown hats, but he did come included with his takeaway bag. Again, just short of picking up, I can see it right now. I can see it's looking right at me, almost just like laughing at me. You dropped another one, didn't you? I did drop another one, baton, I know. Don't rub it in. I like that they've approached two different looks to Captain Spaulding. If you like the way he appears in the murder ride, as he's, of course, presenting it to all the new time visitors, then this is a great figure to be picking up. It would also work well, I mean, considering like taking some cues from the retro cloth release, a tailcoat version of Captain Spaulding would also really work quite well if they used fabric, because of course then it would limit any articulation. You'd still be able to bend in the knees like this guy could. Maybe that's something that they could consider down the road, but in the meantime, I'm really liking the one that we get right now. I did end up finding the baton for Captain Spaulding. Whew. The good thing at least, though, and I want to show you here in final looks as well, if you don't want to have the figure displayed with the top hat on his head, the same hand that holds the baton can also be the same hand that holds the top hat. So there's one way of displaying the figure if you so wish. I can understand certainly why some would choose not to have the top hat on top of his head, for the risk that it could rub away some of the paint that they spent so much time painting on Spaulding's face in the first place. The head sculpt for Spaulding is quite good. Even though it's a little dated from the waist down because the figure doesn't have as much posability down there, you can kind of even justify why it can't be there in the first place. With such large, like clown pants like this, it's a very difficult thing to pull off. Now, granted, they did do that also successfully with the Tim Curry Pennywise, so you could very well use the argument that they could do that as well and give more articulation for Captain Spaulding, but this guy's never going to really be in a running pose. I mean, Captain Spaulding really doesn't move all that much anyways in the movie. I don't think necessarily I'm all that disappointed that the figure has no knee articulation. He has it where it counts. That's the head, the shoulders, the elbows, and even in his feet. And the feet, I'm actually more happier that he has it there than he has it in the knees, because if he didn't have properly posable feet, the figure wouldn't stand as good as he does right now. Good news is if you guys are interested and want to get Tailcoat Captain Spaulding for yourself, for your collection, he's available right now in retail stores or online. Big thank you once again to the folks over at NECA Toys that did provide the sample of the brand new 20th anniversary Tailcoat Captain Spaulding that we had the chance to have a look in this review. What do you guys think of this figure? Let me know down below in the comments section. Do you choose, if you had the choice, I'll throw this out to you guys. If you had the choice and you could only get this one or the retro cloth release, which version of Captain Spaulding would you go with? If you guys also in the meantime did enjoy this video, do it a solid, throw it a like. You guys want to stick around for more so? I hope so. Hit that subscribe, turn on the bell. Of course, come back, please. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.